So first, I wanted to say that I will be uploading Rust's review a little later because the 3.5 anniversary Sinners release on the Chinese server one day before we get Margaret and Rust on the global server. The Chinese Sinners are Limit Break team, which may or may not involve Rust. I think it's silly for me to rush out a fast video for him just to get clicks and then for the information to maybe be outdated. So give me a couple of days to test in with the new Sinners thoroughly so I can give you a more useful long-term review. Anyway, Margaret. This is the Sinner review for Margaret. Margaret is an S-Class Catalyst Sinner who specializes in supporting the weak spot team, mainly Bianca, with a fun gimmick for Cresta Hela. And she can also work as a not perfect physical damage amper in general. Overall, if you are low on pulls, and especially if you do not already have S1 Bianca, I would recommend that you skip Margaret. Looking at the next 3 months of banners, there is a Yelena Directional who, she's Yelena, she's an absolute must pull. And we have more Directional as well, who is a more well-rounded physical damage support overall. Finally, in 3 months' time, we have the 3.5 anniversary Sinners Jichuan and Xiaofeng. At the very least, we can expect that Jichuan, who is the new limited Sinner, will be strong, so it's better to save up pulls for her instead of Margaret. However, if you really like Bianca and you really like weak spot, then Margaret is a great upgrade over Sean and very worth adding to that team. Let's talk about her kit now. At the start of the battle, Margaret will mark the Sinner standing in front of her as the Peacekeeper. This is who all of the buffs and stuff all apply to, so make sure you give it to your main DPS. If no one is standing in front of her, Margaret will give the mark to herself, but you don't really want that. The Peacekeeper will automatically remove weak spot from Margaret's sculpture once every 2.5 seconds. We'll get to what this means in a second. Her ult summons a peace sculpture in a specified tile. I'm just gonna call it the statue. And it does its effects in a 3x3 square around itself. Also, when Margaret ults, the Peacekeeper will get 12 stacks of peacekeeping, as you can see in this number here. This lasts for 20 seconds and maxes out at 12 stacks. Whenever the Peacekeeper removes a weak spot mark, they remove a stack of Peacekeeper as well, which triggers a burst of damage from the statue to all enemies around it. This damage burst is considered normal attack damage, but more importantly, it applies weak spot. So basically, if Bianca removes the weak spot when she attacks, the statue will apply a new weak spot mark, Bianca removes it and attacks, statue applies weak spot, so on and so forth. So it's a very efficient loop of applying weak spot, much better than Sean. Though you cannot summon a statue in a tile with a Sinner standing on it, but you can create the statue, then move a Sinner onto the same tile. The statue can be attacked and is counted as an enemy, so rip to judgment. But Cresta Hela loves this because it means she can apply her Phantom Cores to the statue and the boss. So she ends up proccing 2 follow-up attacks and they both probably hit the boss, Zero as well and Sito will also be able to hit 2 targets this way, effectively doubling the amount of follow-up attacks from Cresta Hela in a single target boss fight, which is great. That's why you'll see videos of people running Margaret with Cresta Hela. It actually is a viable strategy. Her P1 buffs the Peacekeeper ally for 9.6% crit rate, and whenever the Peacekeeper removes a stack of weak spot, she buffs them for another 0.6% up to 24 stacks, for a total of 24% crit rate bonus with no time limit. It's expired, none of that. With Bianca, you can expect to remove all 12 stacks before a statue runs out, but with other Sinners, expect around 8 stacks per statue. So you need 2 statues to max out Bianca, and 3 for other Sinners. Her P2 causes all enemies in the 3x3 area around the statue to take 10% increased physical damage. After Peacekeeping is triggered, the physical damage taken bonus is additionally increased by another 15%, total 25%, lasting for 2 seconds. This means if you are using someone who can remove weak spot, like Bianca, you basically have full uptime on this buff. However, if you are using another Sinner as the Peacekeeper, they only remove a weak spot mark every 2.5 seconds from the statue. So you end up having 0.5 seconds where you lose that extra 15%, so you only get 10% increased physical damage. Anyway, moving on to her ECB, when the statue disappears, it spawns a feather. depending on your ECB level, you can have up to 1, 2, or 3 feathers on the mat at the same time. If Margaret picks up the feather, it will deal 1 core damage to the enemy with the most cores on the mat. So basically it's like Paradise Regained, but specifically only for Margaret. Only she can pick this up. This is more for long fights where weak spot can kind of lack the ability to do like 6 core breaks in a row sometimes. So it's nice to have, but it's not a must to unlock if you've got enough core breaks going on in your team. Also, ECB 3 isn't really used. Like, it's really hard to find a scenario where you would really need to have 3 feathers or like be able to generate 3 feathers between core breaks. So I would probably use ECB 1 or ECB 2 if I really needed that, but maybe not ECB 3. On to Shackles. Margaret's S1 expands the statue's range, both the ult and the P2, to a diamond shape, similar to Cab's ult, and after Peacekeeper is triggered, the bonus physical damage taken bit is doubled. So it goes from 10 plus 15 to 10 plus 30, which makes 40% total physical damage taken buff. If you calculate the actual gain, it's like 12% compared to S0, so not a huge amount. Her S2 and S5 grant her 10 energy each when entering the battle. Her S3 makes the Peacekeeper ally deal 24% more damage to enemies that have ever had a weak spot mark on them, which is really nice since this would work on any sinner. This is considered the same damage category as Bianca's Mania Intensify, but it is multiplicative. With most other sinners, it's not the generic damage dealt category, so the gain on it is pretty good. With S4, every time 2 stacks of Peacekeeping is removed, Margaret and the Peacekeeper will gain 1 energy. This comes out to about 4 energy per statue in the generic team and about 6 with Bianca. And you can expect like 1 statue about every 21 seconds with an S5 Margaret. I don't think most people will find use for this shackle. It's more like a Mulder min-max kind of thing. So overall, I would recommend either just getting S0 on her or going straight for S3. I don't feel like S1 is a must pull since the gain isn't that huge. It's more like something nice to have on the way to S3. All in all, Path to Catalyst is real, and Margaret is surprisingly not bad as a generic physical damage support despite so much of her kit focusing on weak spot. So if you really like her, Bianca, or Necresta Hela, you can find a way to use her in gameplay. However, knowing that the next limited sinner is also a catalyst, you may want to save up those pulls for Anniversary. I don't know, people keep saying that the airball time on her P2 on generic teams is not a big deal, but like 0.5 seconds is a quarter of 2 seconds. I don't know if I can good faith recommend S0 Margaret as a generic physical damage support for all physical DPSs, not just Bianca or Necresta Hela. Like, S0 Yelena exists, you know? I think Margaret's very glaze-worthy at S3, but like, that's S3. A lot of units are glaze-worthy at S3. Anyway, I don't think Margaret is a must-have, so if you're on the fence, maybe skip her, save up for now, and you can see how the meta is looking like during her rerun. That's all for this video. I will see you in a couple days for Rust's review. Bye bye!